many months. Gotta move over. Yeah, that's quite interesting. I don't know what is on there.
Grand Forks County Commission will come to order. All commissioners are present. First matter for the commission is the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ross. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Peach. Good to have you with us, Commissioner Peach.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next matter is the approval of the order of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of the order of the agenda.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Knopf. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. The next on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Does anyone have any items they'd like pulled from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Makes a motion. Do we have a second by Commissioner Ross? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Biscuititis.
Good afternoon. Today I have an abatement for you, which is really just the 2020 Homestead Credits. So the applicant requests that her 2020 Homestead Credit be approved. This property qualifies for credit under North Dakota Century Code 57-0208.1 Homestead Credit. Any person 65 years of age or older or permanently and totally disabled in the year in which the tax was levied with an income that does not exceed the limitations of subdivision C is entitled to receive a reduction in the assessment on the taxable valuation on the person's homestead. Typically, these credits are handled administratively by the assessor's office. In this case, the applicant sold the property in October of 2020 and did not submit the homestead credit application until after she sold the property. The Grand Forks County Auditor asked that the abatement run through City Council and County Commission for approval. The local governing body approved the homestead credit and abatement application. I recommend the homestead credit and abatement application be approved as recommended by the local governing body.
Anyone have any questions of Biscuititis? I would entertain a motion on her request.
I would move forward on the motion to approve the homestead credit and abatement application.
Okay, second by Commissioner Engen. Any further discussion by anyone? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Is
Thank
that
you.
all?
That's it.
Public health is next.
No.
No?
No.
Wait a minute, I'm looking at the,
No.
I'm looking at my documents, not my agenda.
Miranda Iverson.
Miranda Iverson, yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for hearing me today. My name is Miranda Iverson. I go by Mandy, and I am here today to thank you, first of all, for giving me this opportunity. I'm speaking today to introduce myself as one of your constituents and ask that you support a proclamation deeming April 30th National Therapy Animal Day. There's a growing body of research that demonstrates the wide variety of ways in which therapy animals can make a difference in our lives. They improve mental wellness by decreasing fear, anxiety, loneliness, and isolation. They also influence our physical health, lowering perceived levels of pain, shortening recovery times, and even influencing those who are ill to have a more positive outlook on their future. That's kind of the canned version. This is what this proclamation would mean to me personally. I know therapy animals have positively impacted our community. For me, as a Grand Forks Public School nurse, I've experienced and observed the positive life-changing effects of animal-assisted intervention through therapy animals for my students, my staff, and even for myself personally, including reported increases in positive feelings, increases in academic performance, and lessened stress. My experience in the military with our morale dogs sparked my pursuits to change my career and to work in an environment where therapy dogs are incorporated as part of the culture in a routine nature. I'm here today in my official capacity as Mrs. Minnesota International 2022, and my platform, Pause for Mental Health, focuses on promoting positive mental health through the human-animal bond, one paw at a time. With our current state of global affairs, both at home and abroad, the time for action, education, and advocacy for positive mental health experiences is now. Proclaiming April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day is an excellent opportunity to demonstrate our community's support of mental health and the many benefits that therapy animals can provide to our residents. As a Grand Forks resident, Grand Forks Public Schools nurse, and a member of the North Dakota Army National Guard, I am both honored and humbled to request that my local and state officials proclaim April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day. And I would enthusiastically participate in any opportunities to promote and support my community's proclamation. I want to thank you all for your time and consideration. I provided for you as well in an email to Ms. Nelson, a model proclamation for your review. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions of me? Yes, sir.
Is it happening all over the country already, or is
It
it
is
starting yet?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for asking. I just received an email yesterday from Pet Partners, who is the international organization that promotes therapy animal days. We have a Pet Partners of the Red River Valley actually here in our own community. They're based out of the Fargo-Moorhead region, but serve the entire region. New York, Georgia, Florida, all of these states have already in some local or state capacity agreed to embrace National Therapy Animal Day. And we ourselves as Grand Forks Public School District, if you're not aware, we actually have a therapy dog program, and we actually have therapy dogs coming in every single day. So I was just at Red River High School today. We had a therapy dog in the autism classroom where I went to visit. So it's not just North Dakota, it's not just Grand Forks. This is an international level thing. And we're starting with the National Therapy Animal Day because here we are.
Any other questions? I would entertain a motion if anyone would make one. Commissioner Peach.
I would move that we recognize April 30th as National Therapy Animal Day with your signature on the proclamation that we were provided by Mappy.
We did.
Second by Commissioner Knopf.
Yes.
Any further discussion on the matter? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Good to go.
Thank you so very much. I'm very greatly honored. to
You
be
want a
here.
signed copy? Or
I would love a signed copy.
I can
You're in
send
the
it.
National Guard?
I am a 19-year veteran of the Army National Guard, and in 2016, I was deployed to Afghanistan, which is where I met our Army Morale dog. She was not even a traditionally trained therapy dog. She was just one of those, a rescue actually from Afghanistan, and she would come onto base and meet with different soldiers. She worked with our behavioral health team, and I'll be totally honest, the day I left Brent, North Dakota, I cried like a baby. I could not keep it together. We landed in Texas and the crying stopped. That was in February. I did not have another emotion other than steadfast drive on with the mission in Afghanistan until September when Rogue came to our building, and I watched my comrades, these hardened, very stereotypical military members, just melt in her presence. And I myself actually cried when she left the building because I had been keeping all of this in. So when I say that I personally have witnessed this and felt it, I really have. So this means so much to me, so much to my students and staff that you would acknowledge this. So thank you, each and every one.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
She has a signed copy for you.
Kate is my friend. Can I snap a picture? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank
Best of
you.
luck to you. Thank you so much.
You can leave, ladies, if you wish. You don't have to stay. Public health is next. Are you ready, Ms. Swanson? Great.
Chairman Falk and members of the commission, you have the Grand Forks Health Officer's dashboard update before you. I'm not going to spend very much time on it today because the news is largely good at this point in time. But a couple of things that I did want to point out. The first page after this page really are the values that are now used by the CDC to determine our risk, and our transmission as reported by the CDC website is low. And that is borne out in the data that we have available for you. On the bottom half of that first slide shows our vaccination rate, which really has not improved very much. We're still at about 59.1% of people who are eligible for vaccines who have received them. Keep in mind, that's for anybody over the age of 5. And then if you go to the next page, you can see that our testing, our sum of new cases for the last few weeks remains fairly low. There's been a little bit of an uptick this last week compared to the previous week. And our tests are dropping. At the beginning of that slide, you can see it's almost 2,000 tests for a 7-day period, and now we're down to just over 1,000 tests per 7-day period. So we don't have as much information available to us about the positivity rate and what's overall happening, because we're doing more home testing and fewer people are being tested. But the good news is that hospitalizations remain low too. And I'm going to flip all the way to, you can keep going through the next several slides, this one, which shows our wastewater. So this is what I am keeping an eye on at this point in time, because wastewater will be independent of clinical cases. It doesn't require that active surveillance of getting people in to be tested. We're just testing the wastewater for the presence of the virus and the presence of any of the variants or subvariants of the Omicron. And you can see there it remains very low. The middle of that graph, I don't know how much Michael or others have shared with you. That straight line is when there wasn't any wastewater testing in the city of Grand Forks. But for the most part, this tracks very well with our clinical cases, so there's definitely a correlation between them. So this is what I'm watching when I start to see increases in the wastewater. Then we'll begin to, encourage people to become tested more frequently. And so that is pretty much the sum of what I want to say today, but I'd be happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
I have one. I see the vaccinations are up, and I'm kind of assuming that's people with second boosters coming in.
Commissioner Falk, that would be correct. A lot of what we are seeing are people coming in for boosters. So it's not elevating that overall rate of vaccinations, but it's keeping us busy. We're doing a steady vaccination business of boosters. All right, we're taking appointments.
I got a question about that. How many places are the boosters being done? All the CVS type places and pharmacies, et cetera?
Commissioner Ingen, that's correct. We've encouraged all of our partners to be active in providing boosters, and as far as I know, they all are. Unfortunately, with the number of people seeking it, it does lead to some wastage of vaccine, which is an unfortunate consequence of it, because once you open a vial, you need to use it up. But we know that accessibility is really important, so that's one of the reasons why we are encouraging.
All of them have both Moderna and Pfizer?
It may vary depending on the location where you go. So if you want a specific brand, specific type, we do recommend calling in advance to see what they have available.
Does it matter if we have, if you get Pfizer the first time, does it matter? Should you stick with that?
Commissioner Knopf, at this point in time, it really, we say it does not matter. There are some mixing and matching recommendations that are going on. Certainly, if you've had a Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which is the 1 dose, we recommend switching to one of the mRNA vaccines, which would be Pfizer or Moderna. But once you've had one of those, you can stick with the same brand, or you can mix and match. It's completely to do that. There are a lot of studies out there about the efficacy of that. But the bottom line is boosters are what are important, getting boosted.
I had
Yeah.
visited with my doctor yesterday, and so I inquired about the booster. And so she was saying that they're looking at maybe this fall where they'll be putting that out there again and highly recommending it. And so I'm thinking that, and it's fine with me, but I'm thinking that with this, it's going to be almost like flu shots that we need to get on a regular basis or an annual basis.
Commissioner Knopf and members of the commission, I do believe that that probably is something that we will see is, at least for a while the virus is still circulating, that we'll be recommending some regular and routine vaccinating and boosters. And I did just hear recently that Moderna now is going to seek emergency use authorization for a vaccine that they are developing that will be more effective against variants. Meaning that they are going to be testing it now against across a lot of variants, and they anticipate that that will be available this fall. I guess if there's been one constant in all of this, it's been frequent changes. We're always adapting and learning new information. We also know people are making some calculated risks about when to get their boosters, thinking that they want to be protected in the fall, so they may delay this booster so they get a good 6 months of protection. We're not making any of those recommendations, but we know that people are doing that kind of calculation.
If you had to make a recommendation.
I say, talk to your doctor.
Good one. Thank you.
And I would like to call on my colleague, Kate Goldaddy, who's going to give the other half of the public health report. And she's our team leader for the family health team. And Kate will tell you a little bit more about the success of our school nurse program, which is something that Red Fox County funded, and we're very grateful to for the support. So I'll turn it over to Kate.
Good morning, Commissioner Felt, Commissioner members. Thank you for this opportunity today to come to you and give you some updates on the school nurses and what they've been able to accomplish over the last year. As Debbie said, yes, we're really very grateful for the opportunity to be able to provide this for our County. So as Debbie had said, yes, my name is Kate Goldaddy, family health team leader, and I supervise the 2 nurses that we've employed that are out at the schools, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but again, from the support from the commission. So the positions, can go back. Thank you, right along with me. The school nurse positions, the 2 nurses were directly supported, of course, from the county commission, and we established those positions in January of 2021. So it's just been over a year, and they're very much hitting their stride and doing well from my perspective. They directly serve just over 800 students at 4 schools. That would be Manville, Midway, Amarillo, and Larimore, the 2 sites at Larimore. And really the umbrella providing is the supporting the health and wellness of the students, of course, and the staff as needed, and then generated out of that initial effort to help assist with any COVID-19 response efforts. And I should take the opportunity here too to point out that they were directly set as liaisons for Northwood and Thompson schools as well to provide them any guidance and updated recommendations as they evolved for COVID-19 to those schools, but not directly on site as they do have their own nurses with their staff. Next slide, please. So those school response efforts for COVID-19 that I had mentioned, they're listed on the slide as well as the package I believe you were provided. And really, again, focused on the COVID-19 as the mitigation strategies and the information involved. They were able to be on site and provide the guidance to administrators and principals and questions that may come up for any of the students and staff. And they had also offered some contact tracing as the schools were accepting and willing, and that did vary quite a bit from what the school policies were and what the governing boards and school boards had chosen to do. And we were there to just offer the information and provide support as they were wanting us to be there. They did contact tracing directly as the schools were participating, but also had a hand in the contact tracing team within our staff at Grand Forks Public Health too, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here in a moment. And then they also assisted with coordination for influenza and COVID-19 vaccine clinics within some of the rural areas in their own school districts, again, as that was requested. So, and finally, as the testing evolved and that ability was there, and particularly at Larimore and Amarillo, the school nurse was able to provide on-site testing to students and staff. And then as it was available with the home testing kits, could also act as a dispensing point to provide those home test kits to students and staff to accept those in the communities as well. Next slide, please. A great benefit to having our school nurses, outside of the obvious that we've talked about a little bit here, of course, was that they were also able to support more broadly the efforts that Grand Forks Public Health is doing within the county as well. So outside of their school commitment, they would take on additional duties to support some of the other activities that were going on within Grand Forks Public Health. And some of them listed here. Much of that was at the vaccination sites, at both the mobile clinic, as you can see in the slide here. That's actually what it looked like at the Grand Forks County Fair, and Amber, one of our nurses, was able to staff there now, as well as the Alaris Center, the mass vaccination events that we had. And then also at the Grand Cities Mall as that transitioned over to that location. And they would help with both administering registration to be able to kind of fill in as needed and really offered some sustainability and depth to our staffing, so it was helpful. It also helped with logistics and staffing at the testing site at UND High Performance Center. And then, as I had mentioned, they also had assisted with the contact tracing team with the actual case investigations. And that in particular helped with the depth of the contact tracing team. As it ebbed and flowed with the cases, of course, we tried to focus their help with cases within their community so that they were directly impacting their population they're already familiar with, the students and staff. And then finally, they were able to support some of the program areas as well. As our staff was very busy, what the programs that we were able to continue, had the ability to, especially applicable to what their skills were. I think in particular, helping with the Head Start health assessments in the fall of 2021, and that will continue again this year. So student assessments, health assessments, pediatric and adolescent information to build onto their skills that they already had. Next slide, please. So the on-site nurse coverage, speaking directly to what it would look like for a normal picture for them and what they've been able to provide. The nurses are on site at their particular schools that they're assigned to, about on average 2 days a week. And so those are grouped in Midway and Mathel, and then the second nurse at Larimore and Amarillo. And at those times, then they're able to provide rapid assessments for students. We did have turnover at one of the positions at Larimore and Amarillo. We were able to fill in back staff with myself and other nurses to during that transition. So it worked pretty seamlessly. And since our new staff member has taken over there, Sarah, she's done a fantastic job and jumped right in. Able to help with, again, as rapid assessments. I think Sarah's most recent estimations of helping about 10 students a week with those incidents that are needed as a school nurse and being on site. They're able to offer resources for immunizations, record reviews, and supporting and any questions that may arise, as well as providing curriculum. I think this has been a fun part for both of the nurses to come up with some teaching points for the students. In particular, the hand hygiene, hypertension, speaking on COVID information, body image, and puberty. I know Amber adds, in particular, kept track of hers and was showing that 233 students have been reached at 16 of her presentations over the last year. So she's able to reach and really thrives on those presentations with students. And then finally, there's one other thing I'd like to highlight is that she was able to go through a training on suicide prevention, the QPR gatekeeper, and is working with the school counselors to ensure that there's access to mental health resources and as well. Next slide, please. So looking ahead as this contract continues, and as Debbie had mentioned, the transition is coming as the cases are slowing. Luckily, they're increasing. And we're transitioning, as I call, more towards a traditional nursing school nurse role. We're really focusing on capitalizing on those opportunities to teach the curriculum in the classroom. Upcoming topics will be on summer safety, biking, swimming safety. Never as well is supporting the summer school sessions out there through both the more traditional summer school session as well as supporting the migrant population at Mathel, and then assisting at the summer school session as well. The plan is to help again with the record review for all students that are enrolled at the schools as needed by the schools and requested. And then supporting both physical and mental health and safety for the students overall. We really have again appreciated the opportunities to work with the students and staff in Grand Forks County, and administrators have expressed their thanks for the supportive positions as well. So we're grateful for the opportunity and welcome to any questions that be happening.
Any questions?
Thank you. It's been a wonderful program.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Have a good afternoon.
Mr. West, you're on deck, I think. County planner isn't coming today.
Oh, okay, caught me napping there.
Sorry to catch you off guard over there.
Thought I had one to go. Yeah, okay. 2 items here for the consideration. Yeah, we opened up bids last week. For the most part, went pretty good. We got culverts first. For our metal culverts, well, and plastic culverts, we did only receive 1 bid for metal culverts, 1 bid each. For the metal culverts, 1 bid was True North Steel. They're our normal supplier, but the other bidder contact did reach out to me and said they're not going to bid this year because of the volatility in the market and I guess so. But so we don't have too much choice. If we want to buy some metal culvert, we kind of got to go with them. But I did put together a 3rd page and just show some comparisons here of how the prices have been since 2017 and things have really gone up. I don't know if we need to discuss them or not, but particularly like the worst case scenario is 48-inch flat gate is 5 times more than what it was 5 years ago. It's $6,000 now. It was $1,200 in 2017. That's quite a bit. I guess the culverts themselves have doubled in price. I would note that this year we did make 1 change in the type of culvert we spec into instead of a riveted, we went helical, which is helical is by far the most common method out there. It's not quite as flexible in its usage, but the manufacturer is able to make the lengths that we typically use, so I don't see it as hindering us at all. Otherwise, we would have seen significantly bigger increases. Same thickness of metal, same coating. It's just they can manufacture it significantly faster. So, and then they'll make the lengths we need instead of us just cutting it ourselves, which we would historically have done. Yeah, like our Claritin aprons, some of them are up 2 to 3% or 2 to 3 times more. I don't know, they are what they are. I don't know, there's no other options out there. If we want to use them, that's what they are. So it's just for your consideration or for the discussion for the board if they want to look at other options. Plastic pipe took a huge jump this year, 82% increase from last year. Yeah, that's a lot to absorb. So I know I thank the board for the extra 1.5 mils that we dedicated to culverts this year. I'm afraid quite a bit of that just got chewed up in inflation here, but I will also note that after I opened these bids, I knew it was going to go up. I didn't think it'd quite go up this much. So I called the concrete guys and I said, hey, what are your prices at? And I know we didn't bid that publicly, but for example, we can get 24-inch concrete pipe cheaper than a 24-inch plastic pipe right now, which 5 years ago was unheard of. Usually concrete is Cadillac product, Cadillac prices. Well, right now it's flipped. So We might consider doing some of that on a case-by-case basis, getting quotes and doing the fair bidding that way. Certainly not the volume of culverts that we would use for plastic and metal, because installation does take quite a bit longer. It's not as easy and quick to do, but like say, high alkaline areas or under pavement where it's certainly has its advantages. Concrete might be where we go with some of our installations. And the other part is we do have a healthy inventory of culvert on hand, and I'm waiting towards we deplete our stock for a while and whittle it down and see if we can not have to buy as much this year. So usually if whatever we use, we would buy and just replenish and keep our stock up. But maybe this year is a year to lower our inventory a little bit and see what happens next year. And I'm hoping steel and plastic go down in the future. I don't know if that's too optimistic, but metal steel has fluctuated through the years, and I hope we're at a high point. So, but the bid opening this one was uneventful and straightforward. And I guess my recommendations are here to accept True North Steel for the culvert and flap gates and ADS for the plastic pipe.
We really don't have any choice, do we, Mr. West?
I don't know of another option.
Yes, agreed. Question, when we make a motion to approve these bids, the North Seal bid is just as on that chart, but no amounts, no total cost, no limit for the summer. Where does that show up?
Well, that would be in our culvert budget and how our department purchases them. So.
But these will be the prices that when you order from them this year.
Correct.
And when you order the same as you said you might order less because you have some on hand.
Correct.
So we're approving the prices for what you're going to order this year. Is that what our job is?
Exactly, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be consistent process we've taken in previous years. Yeah.
You need 3 motions or 1 motion on 3 items on the first part of his request?
I think we could have 1 motion on those 3 items that he brought up.
Debbie's nodding, so it must be right.
Okay, thank you for reinforcing that.
I'll move approval of those first 3 bids, North Steel for the steel pipe and the flat gate and plastic pipe for ADF, as he has listed in his charts.
Second from Commissioner Knopf. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item we have is gravel bids. This one was a little different. We had a hiccup at this one where one of our bidders did not have his contractor's license included with the bid bond. So therefore we did not open the bid. With Lakeside Construction, which has been a supplier for us in the past. However, one unique thing with this bid is our recommendation for Down Construction. They actually lowered the prices from last year. Everything else we bid went up from last year. So I did visit with them about that and hey, what's going on here? And he said, we just got a lot of material stockpiled, ready to go. We didn't sell much last year and we want business. So my recommendation is for Down Construction to be our sole supplier for gravel. And if the board maybe remembers in the past few years, we'd accept 2 or 3 bids based on the scenario of which road we're doing, which pit it's coming from. We can get cheaper prices from different contractors, and plus it gives us some option too. But this year, every scenario Down Construction would be our most economical option. So my recommendation is Gowan to be our gravel supplier, and then for the crushed concrete, Gowan and Strata were the same price. So I would recommend we accept both contracts and for chair signature on those contracts.
So moved.
Okay,
Second that motion.
second by Commissioner Peach. Any further discussion on that matter? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item is our box culvert bids. We have 3 on the list. Back in February, I asked permission to get bids. We've had very good interest in them. It was at 7 bidders. I didn't expect that. Some of these would be new to us. Triple D, Bowman and Taggart. They had never bid anything with us before, so that was nice to see. But Rhinebeck Excavating was a little bit at $483,000. And they've done work for us in the past and it's gone good. So my recommendation would be for Rhinebeck Excavating to have the contract and for chair signature.
Make a motion to approve that?
Motion by Commissioner Knopf to second to Commissioner Peach.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. County Road 6 paving, that's County Road 6 from Kempton West to County Road 16. It was here at February 1st meeting, got permission to get bids for that. We would be using a portion of our $3 million we got from the state for House Bill 1505 funds to pay for that. Project would be 9.7 miles of mill and overlay. Bid opening was straightforward. Knife River was low bid. Knife River also has our contract for our federal aid portion up too, so that's nice, makes things a lot easier, and both projects I would anticipate getting done at the same time, so that makes it nice for our staff. I would recommend Knife River gets the project for 1.4 million and ask for chair signature.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would move that I make a motion to accept Knife River as a contractor for this project and for the chair's signature on the contract.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Knopf. Yeah. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Yeah. I do have one real small one that request. I think it's more just a formality at this point, but certification of local match again. For our bridge inspections, we had another invoice come through and we need to certify the funds are coming from 2150 highway distribution funds. So I'd ask for chairs and auditor signature on that. Well, please.
Be aware of that.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah, what's that?
Okay. Second.
Motion by Ingan, second by Ross. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have the form here. It wasn't scanned in, I don't think.
Okay.
So. Yeah, no problem. I think that's all the formal requests I have. Otherwise, Commissioner Knopf and I went on a field trip today and went out to the bridge by Northwood. They're setting the deck. Project's going good. Road should be open maybe next week, last week, April. So, yeah, pretty exciting. Be open for spring planting, definitely. So, better be.
All the way around, if you are.
Yeah, but yeah, so that's going good and trying to keep snow off roads, which was challenging this weekend.
Thank you for taking me with you.
You're welcome.
Very interesting process of the equipment that went with that, and just that whole process was just, I mean, it was amazing. So, and I only fell once. So it was the monthly. Because it was, I mean, rough terrain and slick as a whistle, and I didn't go down very gracefully, but
Didn't stop.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But we did go to a restaurant, even though my left side was.
Yeah.
It's organic.
There we go. There we go. But thank you. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's all I have.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sheriff Snyder.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, Chairman Falk, members of the commission. First thing I'd like to bring to the commission's attention today is a request for signature and initials on a Department of Emergency Services Homeland Security grant. This is a federal grant, Operation Stone Garden, that the sheriff's office has been receiving for several years. Ms. Olson in our office, along with our Chief Pilot Mike here from the Grand Forks Police Department, Chief Deputy Stromberg, have been working on this. Through their work, the sheriff's office was able to obtain $114,048 grant to utilize for Operation Stone Garden salaries and equipment. I'd request the chair's signature and initials on the back side of the signature page. I believe it's page 2. And if there's any questions on the grant, I would be happy to answer those.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would move approval of your signature on the Homeland Security Grant in the amount of $114,048.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Let me second. Mr. Engen, second. Do we have any further discussion?
Does that include the initials on the special attachment?
Yep, that should be on the page, the second page.
It was not included in the motion. Sorry, wanted to make sure.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. I did.
You do, okay, because I just.
And who made the second?
Mr. Engen, the initials are a little bit different, so. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Thank you. The second item I come before you with is regarding enterprise fleet management that we've been dealing with. We've talked about it the last couple of commission meetings. And I was hopeful that at this commission meeting, we would have the lease agreements hammered out. Fortunately, we are very close. Unfortunately, we haven't quite gotten the document completely finalized. State's Attorney Wamstead's been working with Enterprise on not the contract, but lease agreement. Regarding the agreement, Josh with Enterprise is also online with us if you have any questions for him. I know that time is getting tight, especially for our order window for when these vehicles are going to start coming up. So instead of requesting what I did in the letter, what I would like to amend is that with approval of the chair and the commission, that the sheriff's office or myself be given permission to sign off on an agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management for upon review and approval of the state's attorney for all of the agreements. And I'm not going to put Haley on the spot, but she may have comments on that. She might not.
Yes, and she will.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
members of the commission. I have reviewed the latest version. What remains is just a small tweak. And so I would anticipate we could do that in short order. So I would have no objection to what Sheriff Schneider is requesting.
I would make that motion to approve that request.
Okay, is there a second?
A second for discussion purposes
Excellent.
only.
Yeah,
I knew you'd bring that up, Commissioner Knopf.
yeah.
The elephant in the room.
Me?
No, not you.
Got it up.
The issue. Okay, go ahead.
Well, we have recently received a letter from ABES that spells out the fact that they would like to have been part of this and aren't real happy about it. And so I think as a commission, we need to, they're saying that all government office and elected officials should take their fiduciary duty seriously and execute contracts fairly, giving everyone an opportunity to be involved with this process, and that makes sense. And so I think as a commission, we need to decide where we're going to go or how do we want to address that. Because I'm not sure what I don't think we have any more information other than what's here that's been presented in this and how that would fit with our timeframes. And so we may need to have more information, maybe not, that's the commission's decision on that, but I think we need to have the discussion on where we're gonna go with this. You know, maybe they can meet our timeframes, that sort of thing. I know time is, you know, a problem for you, but that's not to say that they can't meet those same timeframes. We don't know that.
I think Sheriff Snyder should bring us up to speed in that, because I know you guys have been talking about that. And the fact that these folks wouldn't be able to even do it the same way, but we know that for sure.
Yeah, Commissioner and Chairman Falk, members of the commission, I was notified of the letter about 3 hours ago, or no, 2 hours ago, approximately. And this is not the first notification I've received regarding agencies or car dealerships that are interested in our business. It happens with everything, especially when a new sheriff comes in 3 years ago, and towing companies calling me, everybody under the sky, maintenance contracts, whatever. We're open for bids, and we will absolutely take anybody that can provide the lowest bid and the quality of work and the equipment, and utilities and tools that we need. I did receive a notification from a car dealership out of Bismarck stating that they would be interested in bidding this out as well. I included a couple quick notifications of things that Enterprise is able to provide us. And I said, I'll entertain anything that you can give us on this, and I have yet to hear back from them. I have no problem reaching out to Avis. As pointed out by Chief Deputy Stromberg, Avis is talking about renting vehicles specifically in this letter. We are looking to lease vehicles. I'm not quite sure how much different that would be, but I will absolutely reach out to Ms. Thorbachen. Again, we are open to anybody that is willing to give us the best price in the interest of the taxpayer's dollar. She makes some notes in here about trying to keep business in North Dakota. The county, not just the sheriff's office, the county has been purchasing vehicles from Nelson in Minnesota for several years, along with the state of North Dakota, state highway patrols. I don't know if they did this year, but traditionally their vehicles are purchased from Nelson Motors in Minnesota. So I get it. She's addressing trying to keep money in North Dakota. At the same time, you're trying to spend the taxpayers' dollars as effective as possible and try to save as much as you can. So I will reach out to her. I have no problem doing that. Again, like I extended to the other dealership, when we put out bids for vehicles, traditionally when we're purchasing them, or we have in the past, we notify several car dealerships that have the type of vehicle that we're looking to bid. I think the first year it was probably close to 10. The year after that, it was less, because when people don't respond, we're not going to keep sending them letters if they're not interested. So now Chief Deputy Stromberg has been able to narrow that down to about 4 dealerships. There's actually another dealership that contacted us stating they'd be interested in the bid process, and they will get spec sheets for bids for this year's vehicles as well. I don't know. I mean, where do you draw the line on? Hey, we're open for bids on this. I mean, the county highway department dealt with this with a backhoe or something here recently about the specific type of vehicle they're looking for. So we try to do it as practical as possible. I'll reach out to Avis. This is the first I've ever heard of Avis being interested in getting into fleet management for government. So, yeah.
Sheriff, I think we need to do that. And I'd ask you to talk with the state's attorney maybe tomorrow morning, but to leave a paper trail or there, I think not letters, it's gonna take too much time, emails or whatever, to these companies that have inquired, and indicate to them what you're seeking and that you need a response back by whatever date that you pick, because we're gonna have to decide this May 3rd in order for you to get your cars this year.
Yeah, I don't know, Josh, do you have any input on, have you had any dealings with Avis or?
Yes, thank you everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak up here. It has been brought to my attention that Avis has reached out on this matter. And I think Avis is confused or mixing enterprise fleet management up with enterprise rent-a-car. We are two completely different companies offering two completely different services. So just as a reminder, what enterprise fleet management is looking to provide the sheriff's department, aside from supplying them vehicles, will also be their lender for funding vehicles, while also helping track and manage maintenance expenses and also reselling vehicles on their behalf for larger returns. So again, I appreciate that Avis had brought this up. It's nice to see how important that working with local businesses is. But I just wanted to say that we are completely different from enterprise rent-a-car, which it sounds like that's who your Avis contact is thinking we are.
Yeah, I agree with that, but we have to allow them to have a response to us. So that's what we need from them and the other one or two that contacted you. Yes, Commissioner.
Well, for Sheriff Snyder and Representative, some of the things that are very attractive about enterprise is the success they've had with fleet management in resale of vehicles and the ability to provide the number of vehicles per year that you've been talking about. I think those specifications, or whatever you call them, have to be matched by Avis if they're going to even be in the ballgame. And I'm not sure they can do that unless they have an established fleet management program. Do you know if they do have one?
I do not. This is the first I've heard of it. And, you know, if I can continue on that, I personally don't feel that government should stop moving forward with something that has a time frame just because they got a request from a company that thinks they might be able to match it. I mean, we in that case, we could be sitting here till December and then we don't even have vehicles. We have a timeline. They know that we drive vehicles. If they were that interested, they could have reached out to us when Commissioner Ross was sheriff 10 years ago. I haven't heard from them. So, I mean, I don't think that this is enough grounds to stop our process right now with enterprise from what we've proposed already. We are more than happy to look at contracts or agreements with people into 2024. We're looking at new vehicles every year. I mean, they're cycling out. So I don't want to see this process stopped because every commissioner received one letter from Avis who thinks we're trying to rent cars and not lease cars. Personally, I don't think that makes sense. I would, again, reiterate that I would prefer the commission of grant approval upon review of Ms. Homestead's.
Yes.
Chairman Falk, other members of the commission. We've got a window here, and I honestly believe if Avis wants to do something, they can do something down the road. But we need to act on this. We have a window to get these vehicles. And if we don't proceed with this, we stand a chance that he won't get any vehicles at all. And I honestly believe that Avis cannot do exactly what Enterprise is offering us right now. So I made the motion and I would like to have some action on it to get this done.
Commissioner Don?
And I think that we need to at least have a contact with them and find out, you know, is it a misunderstanding or isn't it? But I think in all fairness, we need to do that. We might still be able to stay within our window. And maybe not, I don't know, but I don't want to get us into trouble or, you know, I mean, just some of the language that's in here, you know, and I think it's important to go that route before we make a decision.
Correct me, Sheriff, I think we have till the next meeting to solve this, don't we?
If you like, yeah, I mean, if you like, wait until the final lap.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and that's part of that.
We don't like that, but there are some issues here and I think we can solve some of them.
Yeah, make a
Yes.
suggestion. Why not proceed with the finalization, so you're ready to sign it on the afternoon of the 3rd. If Ms. Lonsted has done all of her work, and you talk to Avis and say, okay, can you ask this and this and this and this? Because if you can't, we can't even take your bid this year. Because you can't start over with Avis on the 3rd and try to get a contract done.
No.
And what's gonna
And if
happen,
we don't do it, if we don't get it done, those 4 vehicles are gonna be bought for us, by us for cash. And we're another year behind the possibility of the leasing program, so.
well, then Commissioner Egan, what's gonna happen when, next commission meeting, Kurt's Rent a Car sends a letter stating we wanted to compete for it? Then I'm gonna have to wait till the next commission meeting. I mean, this could just go on forever. This could be the
But
next
how do
move.
we avoid that going forward?
I think next,
If we run into something like this again, I mean, shouldn't it be put out there?
I think
so
next, I think you're right, Commissioner Knopf. Next year we have to do that.
And so our contract with
Advertise.
Avis, is that just for,
Enterprise.
or Enterprise, is that just for these 4 cars and that's what our contract will speak to and nothing else until we get more information if we move forward with Enterprise?
I'm not sure how many the sheriff needs, but I guess my thoughts right now is we probably are looking at 1 year and then next year figuring this all out. And
The
I think
contract
it's
would
very
still have
likely,
to say 1 year.
yeah, I
right?
think it's very likely the Enterprise would still be our
Yeah.
supplier. But we have to give some others the opportunity if they want to put a bid in.
I think as I recall the discussion of the contract at length, we could withdraw after a year if we wanted to. It doesn't look like it'd be a smart thing to do once we get going, but if there's a legal issue that requires it, we could do the first year and then let someone else bid if they want, I suppose. Is that accurate that we can stop anytime we want?
Yeah, Josh can attest to that too as well, but we can withdraw from the lease agreements at any time.
So we wouldn't be painting ourselves into a legal corner, but practically speaking,
Next year, we could,
they'll probably be the only ones who can match that deal anyway.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But that's
Well, it's not
assuming
all-
they can't, but what if they can? What if they can do better?
For
And
next year?
so, even for this year,
If they can pull it off in about 5 days, I'd be pretty surprised, but maybe.
Yeah,
Yes. I
I
don't know.
tend to agree with Commissioner Engen, but I think we have to give them that opportunity. They not only have to provide the price we need, but also the service that is going to be provided by Enterprise, which is unusual, the way they follow maintenance and everything. So, and the resale on. Okay, I'm sorry. Anybody else? Commissioner Beach.
I'd just like to ask Ms. Homestead about her opinion based on knowing that we've been getting information from Enterprise. Now we've gotten just recently a letter from Avis, just to get her opinion.
Commissioner Peach, members of the commission, the lease or purchase of motor vehicles is not something that's required to be publicly bid by North Dakota state law. However, it's always in the board's discretion if you wish to do so. One thing, if you wish to do the public bidding or request for proposals with related companies, if you choose the public bidding route, you have to follow it through the soliciting request for proposals. You can solicit as many or as few as you wish to do.
Thank you.
Comments? What do you wish to proceed? Yes, Commissioner Beach.
I would suggest that since we have gotten this piece of literature, this letter from Avis Rent-A-Car prior to making this decision, I would feel, I think it would be in the best interest of the county to at least have you, Sheriff, to reach out to Avis Rent-A-Car, find out a little bit of information. Maybe it's not equal of what they're looking at, what we're working on with Avis, with Enterprise, but get that information, and then I would feel better making a more sound decision on May 3rd, which is our next commission meeting. Is that correct?
Right, and you know, if time is of the essence, if there's a problem, we could always have a special meeting before if you get that information for us. So we could move it up even, you know, late next week or the following Tuesday or a week from now, whatever.
You've done a lot of work on this, and honestly, it hit the news. There's been a lot of different counties reaching out for more information. And they just want to see, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And so you've obviously gotten research from other counties in the state of Minnesota. This obviously is a wonderful idea to move through on. It's really utilizing the taxpayers' dollars in an efficient and effective way. And it's nothing that we're not naysaying. It's just, we just want to make sure that, you know, we're being respectful to the businesses that are making that request. And so if there needs to be a special meeting or whatever the case may be, I don't have a problem with that. I just want to make sure that we're being respectful of businesses reaching out. But you have done a remarkable job, and so thank you. Thank you for reaching out and looking at what's a good way to utilize the resources that we have instead of purchasing vehicles. And sometimes they age quickly, sometimes, you know, depending upon the different situations we have. I think it's a wonderful idea. So, you know, I'm fully in support of it, just wanting to make sure that we make a sound decision before the deadline, or if we need to meet earlier.
We have a motion and a second to proceed with the enterprise bid today. So we need to vote on that first.
Chairman, that was, if I may, that was upon, not until upon approval of state's
Right,
homestead.
right, yeah. So we need to deal with that. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Commissioner Ian, are you opposed or for?
I voted to, I did not vote in favor of the motion.
Okay, opposed, okay.
I don't like to, but
Right,
given the fact that we can probably get it done in a special meeting even before the 3rd, then I see the reasoning behind giving Avis
yeah, I think
a
that's
short time to pull it together.
That's the general feeling of the board, and we'll respond to whatever request the sheriff has as quickly as possible to deal with this, so. So the motion fails, and I think the direction from the commission is to seek out the information from at least the one, and you've already contacted one and they haven't gotten back to you. And then get back to us. Is that fair to say? Okay.
I will just reiterate that I am disappointed in the commission's vote due to this letter stating they're looking to rent cars and we're looking to lease vehicles. So, you know, it's likely a technicality, but we're in a technical business and they're not even offering to lease a vehicle. So I am disappointed that you even granted any support to this letter, but I will follow up with it and make sure that we're all notified.
We appreciate that.
All right, thank you for your time. I have nothing further.
Okay, Director of Administration is not here today. Okay, committee reports. Commissioner Peach, are you ready?
Yes, the Grand Forks Zone Board met this afternoon. We are currently looking at some staffing. Our director and some staff did go to, I believe, Mandan, their name is Three Rivers, and look at doing a different type of process when processing applications. They have certain staff trained to do certain processes so that not one staff person does an application from beginning to end. They specialize in a certain section of each application. And I guess that's going very smoothly. Mandan is the only zone that is currently doing that. I believe they're with other counties within their area. So we hope to be able to begin that soon. We're still short-staffed a little bit. There's some staffing or some applications that have been out. I believe they've got applications open for 2 more staff in the in the community assistance programs in doing applications. So that's a good thing. There is discussion taking place about having a specific committee on, and I apologize if you're not, here's my minutes. In having a committee that's called a cultural champion. And Mr. Pickett did talk about that previously, having done that in Dallas, and said it was very effective. It's kind of a group that comes together that's going to work under the executive director, or the director of our zone, just to make sure that we're meeting cultural competency, that we have various cultures and various things going on. You know, we've been in a predominant Caucasian community for many years. And as we have different cultures coming in, varying staffing, you know, just a whole variety of different things in our county, that we want to make sure that we address it to be as fair as possible. I think that there's probably some underlying biases that people may have that aren't, they're not trying to be, you know, maybe by, you know, not culturally sound, but it just happens because they may not have enough experiences with different cultures. And so there's going to be a cultural committee. I think that word, cultural champions, I think that will be very good. Basically, we did have a grievance hearing that we had to go through, a grievance from a staff person, and Janelle Regenball, our co-chair, our chair had to remove himself because of that, being the director. And so the vice chair was the person who took on that hearing, and there was a hearing that was done. The minutes today were approved of that hearing, and it's moving forward. There is a period of time that an employee has that they can actually come back with another request of that hearing, and I believe it's 14 days. And that is taking place at this time. We also did have some information on renovation issues. We have quite a bit of furniture in storage, and I did say that I would be probably visiting with Mr. Ford when he's available to find out what are we going to do. There's certain offices that are full of chairs, things that they have replaced. Quite a few filing cabinets are available because many things have been put on the web or put on clouds. And so we ultimately don't need those filing cabinets anymore. So Debbie.
I took 3 of them today.
Good, Debbie took 3. I think we're down to 11 then or something. There was either 14 or 17. I honestly can't remember how many, but I did volunteer to visit with Mr. Ford to figure out what could we do with the extra furniture and things like that that are still available. He said it's kind of taking up office space and some conference room space that they don't need. The vote will be needing in a very short period of time. So I did volunteer to talk with Mr. Ford about that. And I know that Commissioner Falk had also mentioned there's quite a bit of furniture being stored in the lower level of the courthouse as well. And so we need to figure out what to do with that, whether it's going to be put up for some type of a public sale, if it's going to be given to a nonprofit, something so that we can free up that space, because that ultimately comes at a cost too. So other than that, I think the Red River Valley, or the Red River Community Council, is having their Grand Forks annual meeting or a township meeting, and that will be held this coming Thursday night at 7 p.m. in Larimore at Good Friends. And Commissioner Engen and I are going to be the hosts of that, and Brandon Bombach is going to be speaking. So I invite everyone to that. to that particular meeting, which is this coming Thursday, again at 7 p.m. at Good Friends, which is located on the west side of Main Street. And they have a fairly large meeting room attached to their establishment. So that I think will be interesting. There have been quite a bit of funds from the Economic Development Group coming into Grand Forks County. So I think it would be good for us to be represented and also to learn more about Red River Valley, what they're doing. I sit on the board for that group. So I think that's about all I have to report.
Okay,
This is similar to what they did out at Turtle River,
It's a kind of a compilation of that moving forward.
because that was wonderful.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
that was
well
dealing
said.
with
Yeah,
housing.
it was very informational
Yes.
and, you
Yes,
know, and
thank you.
made me real proud of our smaller communities,
Yes.
you know,
yes.
and so I hope to be there, so.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being the hosts and hostesses, host and hosts, whatever.
Commissioner Knopf.
I don't really have much of anything. Library board meeting tomorrow and everything seems to be going well there. Did the road trip with Nick this morning and we have another one that we will probably be doing in the next week or so. And so again, thank you for that. And that's all I have.
Mr. Engen.
I will be part of that town hall meeting in Larimore, so, but she covered all of that. There was an EDC meeting last week and their annual meeting is coming up at the end of the month, so I'll be attending those. And this morning, another Zoom with our Air Force consultants. And as usual, I'm convinced that they are very much adding value to our situation with the air base here and our connections with the wing commander and a lot of their former, they're both retired 3-star generals. And a lot of the people who are colonels and generals now used to work for these guys. One of the younger guys were majors and captains and all that. So they've got good connections and they helped us a lot. It was an interesting meeting as always. That's all.
Mr. Rob.
Commissioner Knopf, just to, Kari's got her equipment in her vehicle now, and she says it's way beyond her expectations, and she's very happy.
Good. Thank you for helping her with that.
Yep. MPO meeting tomorrow at noon over in East Grand Forks. And the Fair Board meeting is tomorrow night. Was supposed to be last week, but the storm couldn't even get out to the fairgrounds, let alone have a meeting out there. So that's it.
Well, Commissioner Ross and I both were at just a quick home rule meeting with the representative from the survey company, and we just covered some initial information, and they're gonna get back to us with a proposal as far as the survey in question. So it's all preliminary, and I don't have anything more than that for you. And that's all I've got right now. So we'll turn it over to Ms. Nelson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, I received a bill from ICON for just about $46,000. You did approve the architect contract October 19th, 2021. This is the first bill. In the motion that was made, it didn't say where we should pay this from. I would suggest paying it from using the ARPA funds. We have, including the $1 million that was set aside for the correctional center, we would have a balance of $6.5 million after we get our second payment next month. And so that's what I would suggest is that protect bills from.
Make that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Ross. Commissioner Beach seconds. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. I think we have a letter on the insurance reserve annual meeting. That's just information. Any other correspondence? No. Commissioner Ross,
So moved.
motion to adjourn by Ross. Any
Well, that
second?
was the continuous meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.